those are questions, especially the aim that they're invited. So who's going to be first with questions? Sorry, I'm on the wrong side of the camera. Usually.
Wait for the mics, please.
The mic is coming.
Hi, Eva, thank you very much for that. That's very interesting. So, I was hoping that you'd be a bit more like a stand-up comedian, but it was pretty good. So, you alluded just very quickly to education level. And what I wondered is what your opinion is that a lot of the times the problem comes from the fact that the general education of people is probably due to the education system is quite outdated. I mean, some people even call it Dickensian. So the problem is that we have very early specialization rather than general education. So people are uninformed. You know, a lot of people are uninformed. You can't call it ignorant because maybe they don't want to be ignorant, but they don't know as much as you do, or I know, or the people who are here, and therefore they come out with strange comments which comes from their being uninformed. I think one of the helpful things would be is to reform what kids are taught and teach them about these things. And every year we have new problems coming up, new issues are coming up, and they're not being integrated into the education system. I mean, do kids talk about these things at school, even at primary school? I don't think they do. And that's what we need to do. So how do you see, can we somehow reform the education system and make it more flexible and more responsive to the social changes in our society? So therefore the next generation within a few years can actually be more responsive and more aware.
Okay, to answer that, the first point, we thought it'd be more like a stand-up. The reason I take gigs like this now is so when the jokes don't land, I just pretend I was trying to be funny. No, you see, all seriousness, I have, and I've seen an increase in the last couple of years, and I do go into schools now and speak about these kind of things. I was at a public school, and I like going into public schools to speak to them because they are going to be our future leaders. And I was speaking to this girl at this school, and she said to me, I was actually talking about intersectional feminism, and it was on International Women's Day, and she said to me, but I haven't heard of all these things. And I said, that's coming from your perspective. If you had been a Muslim child or a black child, you would have heard of these things. Because we have to understand, because people turn around and they say, when did you become politicized? And I said, I'm black, always. Like, we have it drummed in our heads. We have it drummed in when we're younger, you know, or like now, when I go into primary schools and I talk to younger kids, the little Muslim girls will speak up and they will say, well, hold on, I've been called ISIS, they've tried to drag my hijab off, they've had to, so I think it's not actually true that it's general. I think what's happening is it's coming into the mainstream, and that is it's also affecting schools as well, but I definitely think there should be modules in that. I think it should be definitely part of the education system to look at race, to look at class, to look at all these intersecting factors, and you know, wider opportunities for people. You know, we do need to look at the elite universities, the Russell Group universities, and see who's allowed, you know, how many people from state schools are coming in that stuff. And I think people don't agree with quotas, but I think when we have proved time and time again that we can't be trusted to behave and to do things equally, then we are going to have quotas. Is that enough? Or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Right, one right at the back.
Hello.
Hi.
I know the Women's Equality Party have tried really hard to be intersectionally feminist, and that's where I first came across them, although it's good to hear a lot more about it. I just wondered, in your view, how successfully they're doing that, or not?
I don't know a great deal. I mean, I've been asked to do things for them before, but I support Jeremy Corbyn, so I haven't. But I think most of the people, I think they are trying, the Women's Equality Party. I think what they're trying to do is very admirable. I'm definitely, you know, I follow this account and hear people talking about 50-50 Parliament. I definitely agree with that. And the Women's Equality Party are trying to address that. I don't follow them enough to say how much success that they've had, but I'm definitely aware of them, and I approve of quite a lot of what they're doing. I think they've been good, but I know there have been instances where they have been a bit rubbish on it, but they have addressed that and admitted it. And I think good luck to them. I'm keeping an eye on it because I'm ready to jump ship soon.
Right front.
I won't wait for Mike. So,
No, do
Well,
that.
for the people at the back, because
I think it's the recording.
well, it's also for the people at the back, because if you're at the front, it's actually the people at the front who need the mic, or the people at the back. The people at the back project.
so you mentioned the 53% of white women that voted for Trump in the US. I've heard a lot of conflicting opinions of some people saying these are the 53% of the women that need our support the most. They are people who are from perhaps less educated and less wealthy backgrounds, and they need more support than perhaps those are more enlightened. And I've heard other people say these are the dinosaurs that are dragging us back, we just need to wait for them to leave and for the new generation to rise up. I kind of feel a bit of both. I was just wondering what your thoughts were on those kind of contradictory arguments.
I don't have the statistics on me, but I was doing a panel at the WOW Festival last week about the whole Donald Trump thing, and I did have the statistics, and it's actually not true. It's actually a lot of the people who voted for him were college-educated women. I think it's really quite... and men, yes, of course. But I'm focusing on women because men. Yeah. So quite a lot of college-educated women did vote for Trump. I don't know. There's a lady behind you shaking her head. Have you got the stats? Did you bring them up?
No.
Oh, sorry.
I'm just listening.
Oh, sorry. So yeah, and I think. You see, this is another intersection we need to look at. I think very often when something like that happens, or you know, we're talking about racism, or we're talking about, there's all these groups that are like EDL, the women in the group are called EDL angels. Right, and stuff like that, but there's always the accusation that it's the less educated women and poor women who are responsible for that kind of thing. We have that in this country as well. Anytime something, you know, I've seen videos online of people on buses screaming their heads off, going, "You're a Muslim, go back to Islam." And they always put it out like it's working class women that do that. Actually, the working class women in this country are not the ones with the power. So even though they're the ones, they might have been put at the forefront, and they're the ones that get the blame for it, it's actually women like Theresa May are a lot more dangerous. Amber Rudd is a lot more dangerous than working class women. So I think, I didn't touch on class a lot tonight, but I think we need to look at that intersection. I don't believe that. I don't believe, because working class people we're forced together. You know, when we came to this country, the Windrush generation, our parents came to the country, we were just plonked in beside other people. When Jewish people came to Britain, a lot of them were settled in the East End. After a few years, we sort of mingled. We had fish and chips and bagels, and then we had this and we had that, and we're forced to live together. So that idea that it's, you know, uneducated, you know, backward women, and they're the ones, I don't believe that. I don't believe that at all. Is that okay?
So there's one here. Do you want to take more than one now? So
Okay. I've drunk a lot of coffee, but I don't have a
Okay.
Yeah, okay,
so
go on.
it's one there, one there, one there. So we go in that order. So you first.
Shall I wait for the mic?
Yeah, please. It's on its way.
In this country, we are very, very segregated, I find, along race, class, disability. I am frequently, as a white middle-class feminist, in groups with other white middle-class feminists saying, we want to be intersectional, how can we do it? And we haven't solved it yet. So have you got any thoughts?
Move out of Cambridge. I don't know. I mean, if you're having these groups and stuff, and if this is what lives here, then that's who you
But it
have.
isn't, it isn't. I mean, we're a very, very unequal city, that was said early on, very unequal. But as a white middle class person, it can be very difficult not to feel and be patronising.
Yeah.
And I haven't so far found ways that I can mix with people who, you know, we have a lot of poverty in this city.
Yeah.
But it's difficult, without doing it in a very artificial way, to build friendships with people who aren't in the same circumstances as me.
Yeah.
And I feel there have to be ways to do it.
I mean, an example, in London a couple of years ago, there was this group that started, and it was like, oh, we want to be sisters against the EDL. And we want to defend Muslim women, and we want to, you know, go and speak to them. And then they had their first meeting in a pub. I mean, maybe you need to look at where you're having these meetings. Are they child friendly? Can single mums come along? Can, you know, are you having them in a certain area of Cambridge where only a certain kind of person tends to be around? Or are you actually going into different communities and having these meetings?
I know, but it's that thing about how do you go into other communities without it being...
I don't, in my experience, I might be wrong, I don't ever, I've never seen a person say, well, oh, we don't want you around here. Do you know what I mean? I think if you go in with arms outstretched and just, metaphorically, not like that, but if you just go and say, this is what we're doing, this is what we want to do, I can't see people saying they don't want it. I mean, it's about the, do you have it at a certain time of the evening, maybe bring it earlier to just after school, so then maybe people can come after school before they take the kids home and feed them, and you know, things like that, just little logistics. Logistics.
So right at the back next. Oh, that's right.
Thank you. So my question is, I want to ask like your advice, or what do you think as people with different identity affiliations, how we adopt the concept of intersectional feminism. For example, you said intersectional feminism, it includes all sorts of women, women with color, women with different face, but also because I study intercultural communication, and I often think about those conflicts. For instance, for people with religion affliction, that fundamentally they might have an opinion towards trans women, and trans women might have opinion about those women who have this belief. But we should all, under this umbrella of intersectional feminism, doesn't matter you're Muslim woman or trans woman or Christian woman or liberal, but it seems it can be a little bit difficult. So what do you think, people, with different values, different perspectives, how we adopt this intersectional feminism as a whole?
I think, I get what you're trying to say. Like, say you come from a religious background where they don't approve of gay people, something like that. How do they put the two together? I don't think, because if you look at all these different groups, all these people are represented. There are Muslim trans women, there are Muslim gay women, there are Christian gay women, there are, you know what I mean? So I think that sometimes you're probably going to have to solve that in-house. You're going to have, because if you're all from the same religion or you're all from the same background, there's still going to be differences amongst you. It's not just a black and white thing. It's not like saying, okay, I'm so underprivileged because I'm a black woman. I'm privileged in lots of different ways. You know, I'm obviously more privileged over a trans woman, especially over a black trans woman or any trans woman of colour. I mean, I don't know the statistics for here, but I know in America it's shocking. The life expectancy is 35 years old. 35 years old. That's almost like serial killing statistics. That's how disgusting it is. So, and I do know, there's lots of black Christian women, especially the proper hallelujah ones, who don't want to hear about trans women, they don't want to hear about we're going to have to accept that sometimes we're going to have to leave some people behind. We're never going to get everybody in it, but I do know that there are representatives from all different groups within the same racial group or the same religion. And yeah, there might be certain things that black women are going to have to hash it out amongst themselves, and Muslim women will have to hash it out amongst themselves.
Yeah, yeah.
Hi. Thank you very much for your talk. My question is kind of related to the question of the lady just down at the front there. It seems like intersectional women is talked about separately to mainstream feminism. Did I say intersectional feminism is talked about separately to mainstream feminism? But white women should be included in intersectional feminism because we're a section of that. Or it seems to me, I don't know if I'm wrong there, and I just wondered how white women can be involved more as a section, so to bring all types of women of every section together, instead of having them so separate, or what appears to me so separate. I don't know if I'm wrong or not.
Yeah, I don't think they are separate. I know loads of white intersectional feminists, loads. I don't, there's no thing to say you can't be a white intersectional feminist, you can't be intersectional feminist if you're white. There's white trans women, there's white lesbian women, there's white disabled women, there's white working class women. It's for everybody. Everybody, that's why I said I would prefer not to use the expression white feminism, because I think it throws people and they don't understand, and then they do feel like that's the thing that's being excluded. But for me, it's not. If you really understand intersectional feminism, there's no way white women are blocked out of it. No way.
Yeah. It's a very new subject to me, so it's interesting, definitely.
Yeah, that's why I was trying to make it clear that I don't believe that.
Yeah.
So maybe I'm going to stop saying white feminism.
Right, we've got a man.
Oh no.
It's okay. Thank you. Yeah, I'd like to thank you for a brilliant talk. I really enjoyed it. I mean, I'll just start by preface by saying I've lived quite a sheltered life. I was born in Cambridge and was educated in Oxford and studied law. But having said that, I always admire people who break out of the bubble. And recently in the news, I sincerely hope I've got her name correct, Anna Campbell, the 26-year-old white female plumber from Lewes in Sussex who went to fight with the YPJ in Afrin in Syria. I just wondered what your thoughts on her death were fighting for cause.
I found that interesting because I didn't look at it from that perspective. I thought to myself, if you were a Muslim woman and you went over to fight with ISIS, you would be demonized. Like Muslim women have gone over to Syria in the same way, and they have been, for whatever reason, and they were never treated with any kind of sympathy. And we're talking about 15-year-old girls who were groomed on the internet and manipulated, and I'm not saying that's what happened to that woman, she was a bit older, whatever, but they would be dead. You know, when I heard about that, I thought, I wonder what's going to happen to her family. Because if that had been a Muslim woman, gone to fight for ISIS, her family's house would be torn up by the special branch, her family would be arrested, they'd be asking, what do you think that you're doing? You know, when was she radicalised? When did she go over there? So that was kind of the first impression that I got of that. And maybe that's because I was looking at it from a different perspective. I mean, I understand the issue with the ISIS and PKK and stuff and what she went over to support, but I did think there was a double standard in the way that that was reported.
Hello, Sarah Libbins, but I just want to say as well, thank you for voicing your opinions today, because I think you are one of the modern women who will actually say what we're all kind of thinking and put it in our face, and that is what we need. I don't want to generalise when I say this, but I just wanted to ask as well, what are your opinions on, I suppose, trans opinions between, do you see it as a generation problem? Because as sat here now, while you were talking about trans rights, I'm for them, but I saw several people of older generations shaking their head. And that's not saying everyone else who is older generation shaking their head, but one person in particular, still shaking their head. I would like to know her opinion as well.
Okay, I'll quickly, I don't know if you want to come in on this.
No, I'm here to listen.
Okay. I don't see it like that because I've got quite a lot of trans friends who are older. And that's because they didn't feel they could transition when they were younger or whatever. My opinion of the trans argument is, I've seen it before, but I've seen it used against lesbian women. Hold on. A few years ago, when I was in the prison service, I worked at Holloway Prison, and there was, so a lot of women who worked at Holloway Prison with me were lesbians, and they identified as butch lesbians. And all these things that are said, you know, about trans women, I saw back then being said about them. And when, for instance, so they had a massive thing, you can go and Google this later. It was one of the most homophobic witch hunts I've ever seen in my entire life. So what they decided to do in the prison service was, they had a few men working at Holloway Prison, and what they wanted to do was they wanted to change the mix. Okay, so they basically decided that maybe if we had different sexes in different prisons, that it would work out better. So I went across to Pentonville Prison, which is a men's prison, and what they wanted to do was have 60-40. So they would have 60% women, 60% men in the men's prisons and 40% women, of the idea that maybe having, you know, different types of people would calm down, and they wanted to do the same in Holloway. So obviously they didn't just do it straight, you know, they didn't do it straight away, they just did it, they had to do it in bits. So when they started having men coming to work at Holloway Prison, they couldn't stand the lesbian women. They were in a minority for the first time in their lives. A lot of the senior staff were women who were lesbian women. They were getting angry about it. There was loads of accusations. There was a lot of trouble caused. Basically, you know, staring up the inmates, going, "Oh, do you want to be strip searched by a lesbian?" Because that's like being strip searched by a man, isn't it? It's like, you know, they're not real women. They don't act like women, and blah 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 blah. You know, there was they don't have kids, most of them, so they wouldn't really understand. Do you understand what I mean? Like it was, and so when I hear like the expression "the trans cabal," that's what they actually said about these women in Holloway. They said that, oh, they're sexual predators. They are getting younger women officers coming in, and they're trying to turn them into lesbians. Like, you can turn something into lesbians. You understand, well, lesbian women don't, men do. But no. They don't. But you understand what I'm saying? It was like, they were called almost like super predators, and they were just couldn't control themselves, and they were coming into women's spaces, and they didn't have any right to be there. And they called it a lesbian cabal. And they really broke up a community, because what they also used to do was geographically cross recruitment. So they would get people from up north to come down south, and vice versa, so you didn't end up locking up your neighbours and schoolmates. So a lot of these people came down from up north, so they had a big community, and my mum had worked there as well. We lived in the quarters behind, and it was like lots of these girls, and they had, they come down from up north. They formed a real community, and they would have like the prison here, the prison club there, where you could get really cheap alcohol, and then the prison quarters there. So it was like, so all of this stuff about not being real women and not this and that, I've heard it before. I've just heard it before, and I don't agree with it. I don't agree with it. I don't.
There's a difference though, isn't there? There's a biological difference. This isn't about trans people, you know, fine, however people choose to live. But actually this is very different. This is about, you know, people calling me a cis woman as if I've got like, I have to evidence my femaleness. Yeah, that's what's going on.
No, I know what cis women
are going out. So what I'm saying about trans people is that I'm lesbian, I hang out in lesbian spaces. The person who is trans maintain their original sex. They may have chosen a gender, femininity, masculinity, but they maintain their original sex. whatever you like to think about it,
Yeah.
that is the biological fact.
I
But you
think-
have to take hormones to maintain a difference.
But then that's like erasing intersex people. That's like
It's not,
biological
I'm not erasing anybody, I'm erasing nobody. I'm saying that there are different spaces, and it's a very different issue for lesbians to be assaulted by men, and lesbians to be, you know, from transsexual people. That it's different.
And
Lesbians are
intersex is
women.
very different.
Yeah,
as well
there's
to
that as
trans.
well, but I'm saying,
Very
I
different.
don't believe, and I think you really need to get a trans speaker here, because I don't want to overstep at all. I think there needs to be a trans speaker here. I've had it explained to me, I can't pretend that I've retained all the information. I do know that it's just not as simple as we thought it was. It's just not that simple. And there are different combinations of chromosomes that we had no
But
idea
we're not
about.
talking about, there are people who hermaphrodites, you know, that's the way of humanity.
Yeah.
But a trans person is not trans.
No, I know there's difference. It's like, you know, people who are intersex with
And as you were saying
people trans
earlier,
women, there's people.
it's about the trans lobby. It's not about trans people. It's not about individuals. It's about the political movement of it and the oppression of women.
But I don't think they're
Maybe you
oppressing
don't,
us.
but I do.
Yeah, so I think
I'll
out.
answer the question.
I'm just, am I allowed to interrupt you?
Yes.
Okay. I just wanted to bring in the demonisation in the media of women. You know, there's obviously lots of different, because we're talking about intersectional, there's women are demonised in lots of different ways, but my particular experience is Muslim women being demonised. Traditionally submissive, and in Afghanistan needing to be freed from the burqa, not accepting that it's our choice, that I prefer to not have a bad hair day and I'd rather cover. That's better for me, better for you guys. I resent the idea that someone needs to free me, but we need to give time for Muslim women to come forward, feel part of the community, be able to speak, but have time. So in the trans debate that you're having here, give us time to have the conversations and move forward as a community. And when my mum grew up in India, there wasn't, I mean, it was so obvious that people were different genders,
Yeah.
and the way that men and women dress is hardly different. Men wear eyeliner, men wear makeup, men wear earrings and jewelry, long robes, and it was really obvious who was gay and stuff. So we have more strict sort of borders everywhere about everything, and those need to be sort of, you know, rubbed out, and we need to be more human in receiving each other.
Hang on, did you clap for me?
The thing I wanted to ask is, there's a horrible punish a Muslim letter going around. People may not have heard about it, and I didn't want to give it any oxygen because it's disgusting, but Muslim female students that I met last week are distressed about it. They're worried about going out on April 3rd because they might be attacked. Muslim women get attacked because we dress like this, and Orthodox Jewish women are being attacked, being mistaken for being Muslim women, right? Because they dress like a burqa practically. They may have their face open. So it's a real thing, how you look. And I can never change the colour of my skin, so I will always be called a Paki. But I choose to wear this, and that makes me and my sisters a target. And this horrible thing that's happening on April 3rd, what I'd like to do is take a picture of you guys and Ava with Rage Against Racism, and we'll tweet it out on 3rd of April. So I didn't really have a question for you, did I?
Okay, I'm just going to finish. Okay. We do.
So there are two questions over there.
I was going to deal with both of these.
Okay, great. Yeah, this is,
We do need to have a conversation, okay? I don't believe, in terms of when it comes to the trans issue, that there is not a conversation to be had. Okay, we have to be honest about these things. If you live in a certain part of the world and you have an ultrasound, and on that ultrasound you have a vagina, you might not even make it to see the light of day. Okay? That is the way that that is. And also, but in that same breath, then also trans men get trapped in that same thing. I think we need to have conversations. And I'm really getting quite distressed about the way that it's going, because it seems to be, I don't believe we should be debating trans women's right to exist at all. But I think we do need to have certain conversations and say what we feel is uncomfortable. But unfortunately, the conversations that I've seen have been pretty nasty. And I really hope, I hope, Alistair, you could get a trans speaker up here. I know some who could come up here and have a conversation, because I don't think I should be speaking over them at all. In terms of Muslim women, yeah, I mean, I see that a lot. That was one of my points, but I think I got lost. I think I scrolled past it by accident, but I hear that a lot when it comes to Muslim women. Oh, they're so oppressed. Oh, those poor things. First of all, you need to meet some Muslim friends. Oppressed, no. And I also know that people have put on the hijab in response to the fact that they are sick and tired of being spoken over, and sick and tired of the way that Muslims have been represented. So they put on the hijab to say, I'm actually proud to be a Muslim woman, and this is who I am, and you take it or you leave it. I think there is, like you said, it conflates with racism as well, because there are women, like Jewish women, being attacked who they think look Muslim. There are Sikh men who have been attacked. They've attacked Sikh temples and things like that. So we have to admit there's an element of racism in it as well. And we just have to keep the conversations going. But I definitely will be taking that picture with you, and I hope that other people will join us in that picture.
So sadly, we've come to the end of our time. The people who are going to ask questions over there. As ever with these things, the conversation just gets interesting. I was going to be around for a few more minutes for the photos, at least. And so for the people over there who want to ask questions, perhaps they could ask it directly. But anyway, thanks very much for an absolutely fantastic session and some fantastic debates that only just started.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.